Hello, everyone. This is Raise Your Voice as part of the Fans First Sports Network. I am your host, Brett Rutherford, joined by my good friend and co-host, Darby Robinson. Darby, we're not always right on this show. Actually, I'd venture to say that we are not often.
We are rarely
right. On
right.
this show.
Yeah.
One thing we did nail on the money, and maybe we were joined by every other baseball fan across the country. We correctly predicted that Tarek Skubal would be a Los Angeles Dodger and not a Tampa Bay Ray by the trade deadline. And we absolutely nailed it, Darby. So congrats to you. What a great take.
The gift of prophecy weighs heavy on my head, much like it must have for Prometheus. Yeah, no, that is what's a shocker, right? I think I saw like at least 6 people do the Office meme, the Rainn Wilson Oscar meme of like where Dwight. It's like where, and every single time I laughed. It's because, of course, it's the Dodgers. Here's the thing, Brett. That price tag is the shocking part because we had heard, like, we knew the Dodgers could blow anybody out of the water for all of these things. And we know that the Rays consistently are a price enforcing team. Like, they're involved and they're like, okay, listen, we have good prospects. And I know the nature of teams like the Rays and the Brewers are that they're not going to, I think very wisely, just trade and unload the clip. They're not going to AJ Preller it and then just, unload the clip of prospects because they don't have the ability to restock that very easily. But the Rays usually set a good price, right? They say like, okay, if this is the price, we'll go for it. So now other teams have to at least beat that. Right. And the Rays have done this consistently. They've done it in free agency as well. It's like you're not going to be able to get a cheapo through it because the Rays will at least be like, here's a 1 year, $35 million, we're going to set that. So like you have that as a nice backup thing. But yeah, I don't think the Dodgers had to give up nearly enough for Skubal. And the reports that have come out after of the offers that the Tigers were demanding from the Rays, and the Brewers, the Brewers' official offers were. I mean, listen, everybody's internals are different, right? Like prospect internals are different. You can't go off of just what's in the national news when it comes to those things. The like public rankings are not be all end all by any stretch. They're barely even be all. But to me, it felt light. It felt light to go to the Dodgers here.
Yeah. So I thought a top 10 prospect would move in this deal, which I know is an insane price tag for any rental player. But if there was any player that would demand such a price tag, it would be the 2-time reigning American League Cy Young winner with the 3 best teams record-wise or somewhere thereabouts, those 3 teams going after him. And all 3 of those teams possessed a top 10 prospect. And so the way these things usually go, where prices are already enhanced at the deadline and their teams are bidding against one another, it felt like that would be the price to get Skubal. Whoever's willing to pull the trigger on that, I didn't think it was going to be the Brewers with Jesus Mate. He's not quite a top 10 guy, but Luis Pena would be, I think, the top guy.
Or Logan Henderson.
Or Logan Henderson. Yeah, that's true. A controllable starting pitcher that looks really good. Henderson would be really hard, I think, to part ways with. For the Rays, it would have been Theo Gillen. And then I think for the Dodgers, the hope was that if the Dodgers do land him, at least they've got to get rid of DePaula, the number 4 prospect in baseball on MLB Pipeline. And they get away with Zaire Hope, River Ryan, and the third piece, which is escaping me right now. It was another Dodgers player. It was his name. It was not Emmett Sheehan. Brady Smith.
Brady Smith, that's right.
High A pitcher.
Emmett Sheehan not being in this trade. Like
really, he was going to be in it, and then he wasn't. So I'm not sure how that happened. It's kind of like the Brusdar Gratterall thing when the Red Sox just chose to not take Brusdar Gratterall.
Yeah. And it's like, do you want him? No? Okay, we'll leave him here, I guess. All right.
So what my
Uh,
point is I just kind of thought that's where it was headed. I thought it was if the
yeah,
Dodgers do take it, at least make them like make it really hurt, right? You know,
yeah.
Sirota stays with the Dodgers in this deal. Their next top-rated prospect, he's number 11 in pipeline. Um,
There's
where
no
I
like
think,
Tibbs throw in. It's not
yeah,
like you get Tibbs and Hope. You
yeah,
didn't get. I don't know. It's like, and here's the thing. No, nothing against Zaire Hope, who's a very, very good prospect, right? He is a locked in top 25 guy. Like, I think that's still really, really good. I think you could say that Hope or Pena, are whichever floats your boat, is kind of right in there, right? I think Pena's better, but like but I'm okay with it. It's also a shortstop versus an outfielder. River Ryan has a lot of great stuff, right? Like the stuff is there, but like let's be honest here. He's 28 years old. He's been hurt frequently. I I don't know. Like I would say that River Ryan is a really big get, but there is enough risk there. You're talking about Tarek Skubal, and you're not talking about like nobody has the market to pay for him. Why is Zaire Hope, River Ryan, and a low A pitcher the best you can do? Like, if you are locked in on Zaire Hope and you're like River Ryan is right there, right? And with you're the Tigers, and we did think like maybe they also wanted somebody that's like pretty close to the major leagues. So like you can have River Ryan when he gets back healthy and back from the Social Security office, he can come right in and pitch for the Tigers. But why not get Emmett Sheehan too? Are the Dodgers going to walk away from that? Like you're like I the Rays basically had to trade Theo Gillen to get Scooble. That's been all the reports where basically the Tigers were locked in. It had to be Gillen, nobody else. And the Rays are in a tough spot where they don't really have like another top 25 guy. They have a bunch of guys. I mean, in the new BA, like you have like Bodine and Fluelling, just both are well in the top 50, but there's that next little tier that they are missing. So like I get that. But like, I don't know. I just feel like the offers that were there, there was talk about like the Yankees being involved, and we'll talk later about
yeah.
like what our opponents did. But I don't know. It's disappointing to baseball. But to me, here's the thing: like the Dodgers, the rich get richer. The Dodgers get another Infinity Stone. Yada yada yada. Right? Like it almost is more beneficial because it's all condensed into one team rather than like if it really moves the needle if like Boston got Tarek Skubal, right? Or if like the Braves got Tarek Skubal, that like kind of changes the scheme. It's better for competitive balance, but like whatever. This is now just all the pieces are on one team. The thing that I hate is that every time the Dodgers do something like cornering the market and do something like this, where they can trade three prospects that to the Dodgers do not matter at all,
Mm.
period. None of these players matter at all. Like, and that is no offense to either any of these guys, but it doesn't matter to the Dodgers. These guys are not even, it's not even their best pitching prospect or their best outfield prospect. They have forgotten about these people the second they're out the door. Not only are they fungible assets, they are useless. They are just like whatever. Throw the meat into the grinder. And every time they do that, and because they have a unfair advantage of money, they have several unfair advantage of money. Because of that, they're able to trade prospects because it doesn't matter. They can just buy and wait for more prospects to develop. It doesn't matter there. Everybody else in the media and the players get that same sort of talking points, right? Where they basically have to go out and say, actually, the Brewers and the Rays are evil for not doing this trade. They're actually bad for baseball for not making this trade. The Rays don't care about baseball because they should have traded Theo Gillen, and honestly, they should have traded Gillen and Hopkins and Bodine for Scooble. And it because they didn't, because the Brewers didn't trade Made and they didn't trade Henderson and they didn't trade Pena all in one big package. They actually don't care about baseball. And that scolding that happens every time the Dodgers do this is so much more frustrating than the Dodgers just doing this, right? Just be the old Steinbrenner era Yankees and be like, we bought everybody, we traded for everybody. too bad. We're the evil empire. We win. We're just gonna, if you don't like it, beat
Yeah.
us. But don't do this like, oh, you have to actually. It's really hard what we do. I'm sorry. Let's stop playing the victim. Stop scolding. Enough is enough. Just be the big bad.
So you think about it in a few ways. Like the one take I had heard is that the Rays and Brewers could have easily have beaten this offer.
Sure.
Okay, so could the Yankees, right? The offer was light enough that the Yankees could have traded Lombard and who's a young pitcher that they had. Like the Yankees could have pulled something like this off. It could have been
Who they traded
Lombard and
for Heliot Ramos.
yeah,
Like you could have just docked on Heliot Ramos and instead gotten Scooble. But
Lombard, Elmer Rodriguez, and like throw
a
some
single A
big
guy.
Spencer Jones, and like they could have beaten
Or
so
Jason Dominguez. Yeah.
maybe not Jason Dominguez. The Red Sox could have traded Arias and other
Yeah.
pieces and have beaten this offer.
Arias and Tolley.
The Pirates, who are in playoff contention, hey, you want to pair Paul Skeens with Tarek Skubal in your chase? They could have traded Seth Hernandez. They could have beaten that offer. Why didn't the freaking Pirates do it? Mariners, they've got Kate Anderson, Ryan Sloan.
Kate Anderson 1-for-1 does it.
The Rangers, right? They've got DeGrom. They've got a couple other aging pieces. Why don't you make another push for a World Series? You could trade Sebastian Walcott, add other pieces in that as well. Again, like, sure, the Rays could have beaten this offer. Yeah. But you go out and you make other moves, and we're going to get to those Rays moves in just a minute. Me personally, I don't know. I don't care as much about Skubal on the Dodgers. I don't think it has an impact on whether or not the season if we're going to go into a lockout, and if that will impact the season. We're definitely going into a lockout. I'm also just not super confident that he signs there.
Yeah, there was that report that got floated by his camp, I'm sure. But like
it does get to a point where like they won't sign everybody.
Yes.
I don't know. I tend to think he's like a Cub or a Brave or a Yankee. I don't know. There are other teams out there that I think might pull the trigger on a pitcher like Skubal. So again, it's one team. They were an inch away from winning the World Series from losing the World Series last year.
Yeah.
Baseball is a funny sport. Like half of their rotation is dealing with injury issues and has done their whole career. They do have an aging core. This team is not immortal. There are chinks in the armor. They're still very, very good and should be heavy favorites to win a third straight World Series. But
and like,
that's what makes the postseason interesting to me.
That's what makes it tough, and that's why I like coalescing all these players in one spot in a way, because it's like you get one random Diamondback series, and like maybe the Dodgers lose. Like it can happen. But like in that same thing, like they went out and got Kyle Tucker, right? And everyone's like, "Oh my God, just print the thing." Tucker's been awful. Right?
Yeah, he's been
really
terrible.
He sucks. Like, I mean, like he's a good player. He'll settle down. He'll be great. Like he might have an amazing October, but he has been bad. Like he's been bad. Teoscar Hernandez, pretty bad. Like those guys have.
Mookie Betts has an 82 WRC plus,
and he's not getting younger either. Like, I don't know. Like it is one of those things. That's the other narrative I hate. Besides the scolding from people, and besides the Dodgers crying victim, the next thing is everyone being like, the next 7 seasons are going to be canceled because of a lockout, and the Dodgers are going to win, and everybody's playing for second base. And it's like, I don't know, man. The Blue Jays like outplayed the Dodgers in that World Series. And like, you're just Jeff Hoffman versus Miguel Rojas. Like, that's who saved the Dodgers season, is Miguel Rojas and like, not Ohtani, not Mookie Betts, not Freddie Freeman. That's how it comes down to. That's what baseball is. And so like, yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. And if they do win, they just win. Whatever. Like, but it's I don't feel defeated. I don't feel nihilistic about baseball or like the on the field or the off the field stuff. No, I don't feel any of that. It's boring. It's a boring move because it's like it is more interesting if Scooble goes to like the Braves or the Red Sox. Like I'm glad he didn't go to anyone else in the AL East, but it's more interesting if he went to Seattle, right? And go like, oh,
Mhm.
they could maybe have some time alive. If he goes to Texas, right? Like that, who knows? Like it is more interesting if he goes anywhere else besides the Dodgers.
What was the nail in the coffin for me is that Hunter Fiducia is the starting catcher for the Dodgers. They can't keep getting away with this.
And,
Tonight,
but
he is
it's
their
Fiducia
starting
or Ben
catcher.
Rortvet.
Yeah,
It's
that is their
which
backup
which
catcher.
which do
Actually,
you
they're
want?
splitting time. Rortvedt started last night against a righty. Fiducia's getting the start against a lefty today. It's the Dodgers' fifth lefty they're facing in 6 games. Batting
Oh
ninth
man.
in the Dodgers lineup. You
And
go
that's
from
what a
Hunter
perfect
Fiducia to
what
Shohei
a
Ohtani in the lineup.
what a perfect segue though to one of the last move the Rays
Yeah,
made.
let's get this one out of
Uh
the way.
that was at the buzzer beater was Hunter Veducia and Jacob not Jacob Jacob Kometz,
Yep.
which that draft is looking kind of a little, the drafts are funky like that. For
Yeah.
international signing pool money, which not nothing. That's usually a pretty good get. And Jake Sawinski, who's in AAA, he's done the swing change. You can go on to draysbay.com and read an article about all about Jake Sawinski's swing changes from Ben Whitelaw. Um, Out of options, but is in AAA. So like if he does get
And
called
not
up,
on
he
the
has to
40
stay.
man.
Otherwise, that and not on the 40 man. Yeah, so that's the big key. Sawinski's always been kind of interesting. He had actually a pretty darn good year with the Pirates a few years ago. He's been a big homer, big whiff strikeout guy. Definitely doing a little bit better this year in AAA. It is in the PCL, all offensive numbers. It's basically Coors Field every
He's
day.
28.
He's 28. Yeah, he's
He
he's I
should be
think
hitting.
good depth. He is good depth. He is, I think, the type of move, and Eric Neander even talked about this. He likes a lot of what Sawinski's doing, but the biggest keys are because of the new rule changes in baseball. Not really new; it's been like 7 years now, but like basically, there is no waiver deadline trades right now. If somebody gets cut or DFA'd, you can pick them up and you have to take their whole salary. There's no like what you got is what you got, right? And so with Jake Fraley being injured and Jacob Melton dealing with a hamstring injury, you don't really have a lot of depth in the minors. So you add Sawinski as another guy who you're happy with your outfielders. And I said this that is also one that I did get right was I don't really see an outfield upgrade coming. I see them being pretty happy with this five core. And getting a guy like Sawinski is I think a pretty good like you're just doing it as insurance, as backup,
Yep.
and who knows what you're going to get. But yeah, that was the last trade they made. But before that, they made a lot more interesting trades, and I'd say more likely to be impactful.
Yeah, let's get into the interesting ones. Let's start with the acquisition of Freddie Peralta from the New York Mets. The Rays in getting Peralta trade Gary Gill Hill, Aiden Smith, and oh my gosh, why am I'm going 2 for 3 on all these trade returns. It was
I've been. There's like tons of wildland forest fires around me, and I've been in smoke all day, so my brain is also fried.
you've got the brain fog.
So
I
yeah,
yeah, this is bad radio. I should have had it written down. It was Gary Gill Hill, it was Aiden Smith, and Emilian
um,
Petre.
yeah, Petre, yeah,
Emilian Petre, the second rounder, 2024 draft, again, another 2024 pick
yeah,
out of Kentucky.
hitting hitting very well, hitting very
Um,
well.
Before we go into Peralta, let's talk about what the Mets got in return and what it cost the Rays. Again, Peralta is a rental.
Mhm.
So this was, maybe not as high of a price tag as some of the other starters out on the market, and he's having a bad season to his standards. Petre is a kind of a contact first middle infield, second baseman, could probably play second or third. He was taken in the second round a couple years ago out of Kentucky. Has done pretty well at Double A. I think some Rays fans were excited about his performance this year. I tend to think these SEC guys that were facing really good pitching, like getting to Double A, like they're not really being challenged yet. And you have to really wait until they get a little further in the minors into that AAA level, International League, where the pitching is still isn't great. I think he's high floor, low ceiling, not a lot of power in the bat, not great defense. Like he can hold his own at second base. There just wasn't going to be a whole lot you'd get out of a player like Emilian Petre. But not a bad prospect by any means.
No, this whole package is, I think, a really good package from the Mets. I think, but this and the next trade we're going to talk about both are packages of quantity over that high end, right? The Rays escaped this deadline without touching anybody that's a locked in top 10 guy. They one piece did trade a guy that was eighth on some lists, so fringe top 10. But like for the most part, this was none of the top 5 guys moved. None of your core high ceiling or high ceiling like high risers moved. This was a move where you took three. I like all three of these guys. We've talked about all three of these guys before. Gary Gilhill, I've said, like, he was a guy that I was like, would be shocked if he wasn't traded this deadline, because again, like his runway kind of ran out here. But he's got some good stuff, and he acquainted himself well in the World Baseball Classic for Great Britain. Again, more high floor, low ceiling type of guy, more command. I mean, the most command. He throws strikes. He will only throw strikes. I don't know if he can throw a ball.
4.1% walk rate in Double A this year and 81 in the third innings. There's also 17.7% strikeout rate, like the lowest strikeout rate he's had at any level.
Yeah.
So maybe there are
He's filling it up.
concerns. There's no swing and miss, but he's going to put it in the zone. He had a 4.49 ERA there, or a 4.43 ERA there, rather, over 81 in the third innings. So again, I don't know what type of pitcher Gary Gilhill is going to be. If he's going to be, a 4.5 ERA and Double A, like, again, he's only 21. There's still time for him to room and grow. And I think,
but Rule 5, that's
Rule 5,
that's the big thing.
Draft coming
Rule
up.
5 eligible,
and he would have been a candidate to be taken next year. So I'm not losing any sleep over trading him. Aiden Smith was one of the players the Rays acquired in the Randy Arozarena trade. He kind of plateaued as a prospect. In 49 games this year at High A, he had a 73 WRC plus, skyrocketed up to a 32% strikeout rate. Just a guy that, I don't know, he got up to High A. He was in High A last year as well and had a better season. It was still struck out over 30% of the time, and the tools are there. He might figure it out. He's just 21, but I think he had kind of plateaued as a prospect. And if the Rays didn't move on from him now, he might have very little trade value moving forward.
Yeah, I think this is the right time to just pull the trigger. And again, like for the Mets, I think it's also the right time to pull the trigger on their side. Like, you get a guy who he, 2 years ago, he had like high helium, like legit, and it was absolutely earned. I thought he was going to be a really good get from Randy, like a guy who has, again, like 5-tool potential. He just kind of like stalled out, and that happens with prospects, right? Like that's the thing.
He might catch second wind here,
and he might say, and that also happens with prospects. So yeah, like there's a good chance like Aiden Smith, if he doesn't get traded, it might have clicked for him there. And the next time around, he's like a top 50 guy. He was a fringe top 100 guy when he was traded. It happens, right? But that's also, I think, Eric Deander, and this is going to be a common refrain, you're going to say it in the next couple trades, is not being afraid. Again, like back to like what we talked about with the Scooble stuff. Rays get scolded for not, doing bold trades and clutching the prospects. The Rays did not do that this time around. They wisely kept the high-end prospects, but they had a lot of pieces that were running out of runway or were already there, either plateaued or on the Rule 5 lists or kind of right at that borderline. And I think I applaud Eric Neander for basically cleaning up a lot of this top 30 of the Rays and condensing and basically condensing a lot of these pieces who are all interesting into kind of pieces that you need now, that you need for now and for other pieces for later. So let's talk about Freddie Peralta, who widely considered maybe the second best pitcher available at this deadline. It's a pretty large gap between Skubal and the
Yeah.
next gap. But like, if you look at the pieces traded, the pitchers traded, like, you have your Robbie Rays, you have your Taylor Mollies. There, the starters, there's warts on all of them. Freddie Peralta is like a year removed from being a like legit ace or number two on most teams. The Brewers were definitely they were kind of price enforcing, I think, on Freddie. The Rays were clearly interested in bringing him in. Uh, I'm gonna not even I'm gonna completely discount the first start because eight Jason
Of
Collette had a good
course.
point. Like you're 8 days rest instead of 5. You're out of your routine, you go to Coors, all of that sort of stuff. Whatever. If anybody's like saying like that's who he is, whatever. I'm discounting that. Also new catcher that he's throwing to. Freddie Peralta, the stuff is still there, right? We've sort of talked about this. A lot of people have talked about this with the Mets is that like it's kind of weirdly baffling why he's been kind of so like not great this year. Because like the stuff is there, there's stuff to tinker with. And if the Rays go out and get you, that doesn't mean you're going to succeed, but it does mean that they have identified what they think can be fixed.
Mhm.
And it is up to the players to work on that. It's right. Not everybody does it. We've seen this time and time again. Some pitchers don't want to do the work or they can't do the work or they don't fully buy in. That's fine. But like if the Rays are trading for you, they do have the piece that they know is what they should try.
Right.
Whether it succeeds or not is up to baseball, right? The other big thing with Freddie Peralta, there was an article that just dropped today too about it. He is a completely like top tier clubhouse guy. He is a beloved guy in baseball, in clubhouses. He was trying to broker a peace deal between Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto to kind of clear the air. Like that is who he is, right? He is new to the Mets, but he is not new to baseball. He has been around the block
Mhm.
a long time. And already he was like dapping up his teammate. Like he is going to fit in very nicely in this Rays clubhouse, especially because this is a team that has very clearly emphasized the character part of the game and the not analytical side, the emotional side, and he fits right in with those Nick Martinez types who were sought after to come in here and kind of help change the culture, bring the culture up. Junior Caminero is both the most talented player the Rays have, but also probably the biggest character guy. Like
Yeah.
nobody is more enthused for his teammates' success than Junior Caminero on this team. Like he is the first one out of the dugout every single time somebody succeeds. When Kenny Piper got his first major league hit on his whirlwind day into the majors, Junior was right there,
Yep.
you know, calling for the ball, saying, "Give me that ball, give me that, save that." Junior could be in the biggest slump possible. He's still going to be the first guy there to take the helmet off
Right.
when you get a home run. That's the type of character that this team really builds on, and that's who Freddie Peralta is. So very talented pitcher. There's things to fix. The Rays have an idea of what to do, and we'll see if it works out. But I like the attempt here quite a bit, and for that price, I do this move 10 out of 10 times.
I, I agree with you. I think it was a fair trade for both sides. I think it helps the Rays fill a clear need, especially after the McClanahan injury, but at a fair price. Because I think if you're the Mets here, again for a rental starting pitcher who had a 5 ERA when the Rays acquired him, you're hoping between Petre Smith and Gil Hill, like that one of those guys contributes for like 1 or 2 years. Like Gil Hill's probably projected as like a number 5 starter. Petre probably projects at best like a utility man infielder, like high contact, and Smith probably projects as like a fifth outfielder, like last man on the roster, can steal bases, can swing a little bit of pop, and can play good defense. And if you get that for trading a half season, a lost season, a half season of
Hmm.
Freddie Peralta, I think you're very happy with that. But you're not giving up somebody. Now again, like one of these guys could hit and turn into a major league regular. Gil
Totally.
Hill could like find a swing and miss pitch, and then now all of a sudden he's like a middle of the rotation type of starter. Or Smith cuts down on the whiff and can hit 25 bombs in a season and steal 20 bags. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's unlikely. So again, that's why I think this is a fair trade. And I'm going to flush that first start as well in cores and maybe the
And maybe the
second
second
start.
start, second
Yeah.
start in Sacramento. That
We'll
third
see.
start though, that's when we're gonna start. That's take one.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah. So let's move on to the trade of Liam Hicks and Darby.
Yeah,
Like I like Liam Hicks. Don't get me wrong. I'm maybe not as high on Liam Hicks as a lot of other Rays fans right now, but I want you to sell me
sure.
on Liam Hicks before we get into the return here.
Uh, Here's the thing with Liam Hicks. Like this man, I'm actually trying to. I should have looked it up today. I was watching some of the game at work, but I don't know if he's whiffed yet
Mm,
with the team. Every swing has made contact, whether it be foul or uh, a grand slam. Um, Liam Hicks, I think, is a better defender than he has been given credit for. He's not a great catcher, but he is not like a black hole behind the dish, right? He's not Augustine Ramirez, another Marlins catcher. His batting ball profile is one that I can 100% understand why you wouldn't be sold or in love with. It is the exact same profile as Isaac Paredes. It is never striking out, walking and making contact all the time. And the damage you do is pull air. Everything that you can get into the air is going to be pulled down the line, which we have seen from Isaac Paredes can be very effective. You can be a big time power hitter where your power numbers are not great. Your savant profile doesn't look super shiny. And you're like, I don't get it. When is this guy gonna fail? And what's interesting is I feel like the Rays did sort of not buy Isaac Paredes. Like they kind of did, but then they kind of were like, I don't know if I fully believe it. But this is not the first time Liam Hicks was trying to be acquired by the Rays. They in the Rule 5 draft, there was a lot of rumors and even a potential trade that was like lined up, but ended up not being agreed to. He was taken ahead of them in the Rule 5. There was a talk that they were going to
mm.
basically draft a pitcher at their spot and make a trade to get Hicks. Didn't come about. So they've had kind of had their eye on him for a little bit. Uh, Batted ball profile is just basically if you like what the Rays are doing on offense, Hicks is that. He is leaning into what you do well. He is leaning into exactly the type of offense that you are trying to build, which is make contact, put the ball in play. When you can actually get a pitch that you can handle, you're pulling it in the air for power. It's contact, it's on base. It's contact, it's on base. It's you're cut no whiffs, no strikeouts, putting the ball in play. I love adding that perfectly to platoon with Nick Fortes, who has done pretty well at getting a little bit more pull air. It's not quite as much as Hicks. Obviously, he's not as much extreme, but a lot of contact, not a lot of whiffs, putting the ball in play. It's worked out pretty well for Nick Fortes. It's been probably his best offensive season. Uh, Better defensive catcher, obviously, in Nick Fortes. But these two guys, you're reuniting this fish battery here, and
Yeah.
I like it. The other thing about Hicks is I think we sort of talked about this. I think there's reason to totally not buy into the power surge. Again, I think it's very similar to Isaac Paredes. It's not an easy like setup to believe in. However, the price that they paid for him is exactly the type of price that I would want. That's what I think he was worth. I think when there was talk that Hicks was that the Rays were kind of circling him, I think I was in on it. He has multiple years of control. He is a guy that can be here as one of your catchers for many years to come and stabilize that position quite a bit. Add another impact bat behind Junior Caminero, but I also was like at the right price. I do think like catching is a high premium, and when I look at Adley Rushman, I think that is a better offensive catcher. He is injured, so there's a big risk there and less years of control, but that's a much clearly better bat. The problem is for the price tag of Adley Rushman that the Boston Red Sox paid versus the price that the Rays paid for Hicks. I don't know if the gap, there is a gap in talent, but I don't know if that gap is big enough
Right.
that I would have rather reversed those moves. Both are,
Yeah.
and they're both, that in division premium for Boston really paid up. But I
No,
don't
they
know if
really
I'd
paid the
reverse those
tax.
moves.
They really paid the tax, and given the return, I'm happy with Hicks. And I think there's a lot of Hicks's game too. Like, I guess what I'm curious from a baseball standpoint, where you look at Paredes and you look at Hicks, is what about these guys allows them to find that power with the low bat speed, the low exit velos. And I know it's pulling the ball in the air, but what attributes do they have? What skills do they have that lead? Because wouldn't everybody that then doesn't have elite bat speed, elite exit velo, like, oh, I'm just going to swing really slow and pull the ball in the air? Is it elite pitch selection or pitch recognition where you are
Yeah.
knowing which pitches to attack to get out in front of, with your contact point and lift the ball into the air, and then knowing which pitches that you can't do damage on, you're just leaving, and then you kind of force pitchers into a box where now you're drawing more walks and you're getting on base more. Anything middle in that's not a 95 plus fastball, though, I'm going to catch it out in front of the plate and try to get it in the air.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's easier said than done, right? Pull everything in the air. uh, you need to have elite contact rate as well as pitch recognition. It's both. You need to know what pitches you can do damage with. Hicks is really good at that. He's got very good vision. He's got very good pitch recognition. But the other thing is contact rate, right? You can be really good. Like Christopher Morel had a really interesting walk rate, but a high whiff rate too. So it's like I think you could identify pitches, but then you also just are swinging through them. Uh, that's like the extreme like example, but like you can try to pull if you try to pull the wrong pitch, that is going to be a weak fly ball, weak ground out, or a whiff. If you are just trying to go for contact everywhere, then you're Ben Williamson, right? Who can't make any power. You need to have both that elite contact rate paired with pitch recognition and the ability to kind of be able to go like all in, sell out for that
Yeah.
power. Be like, when that is your hit, you got to be pulling it in the air. If it is not, you got to be trying to go the other way and make contact or just let it go. It is much easier said than done, and this is why not every player can do this. Why it is more of a unicorn skill. It's also something that I can understand why people are not believers in it, right? You can be like, okay, like a handful of players can actually do this well or consistently. I think eventually it's gonna like the party's gonna end. Uh, I think Elusive Rise is kind of a good example of like he doesn't do the pull air, still no power, but it's that like very outlier skill set. Chandler Simpson, kind of similar, like where you can just be like, I just don't believe this can work because you are relying on something. Baseball is a game of numbers, and when you can say like this player does this and I have 1,000 comps dating back to Smokey Joe Smith from the Cleveland Spiders. Like, then you can feel pretty comfortable. Like that will work. When you go, I don't know, it's this guy and one other dude. It's very easy to not believe it. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's that it's it's harder. You need numbers. You need you need the sample size. And Hicks is a rarer bat when it comes to that, but that is still a skill set that I think coaches are training in. Like that is something that batting coaches are saying like this can unlock power for people who have those skills, right? And instead of just being a slap hitter, you can add some power if you can do this on these pitches. And we saw that in his second at bat with the Rays, showing off that pull air power in the crisp mile high air of Coors Field.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did see Hicks hit a bomb at Oracle Park earlier this year, playing against the Giants, and I was impressed then. And again, I think, but again, I think the what you traded for him is
Yeah.
like it makes a lot of sense to where it wasn't necessarily cheap. You give up Braden Taylor, who is now going up to
Yeah.
Triple A for the Marlins, having a very good season at Double A.
There's
Adrian,
your example too of like Smith, right? Like
yeah,
Braden Taylor, high ceiling guy, kind of fell apart. He's really worked his way back into being like legit prospect status here.
yeah, yeah. So Adrian Santana goes the other way too, kind of another contact for a shortstop. I think there is potential for Santana to be a really good player, and then Jacob Kisting, a pitcher who was showing some promise as well. So again, I think this is a
Who they got
bigger.
from the Eric Orzy trade
Yeah, the Eric
last
Orsi
deadline.
trade. So
Yeah.
Kisting in 16 starts this year, 86 innings in high A, had a 1.67 ERA. He had a 28.5% strikeout rate and a 5.3% walk rate. He was a little old for the level at 23, but still some really good numbers for him. And I think a guy that was going to start to turn some heads in the Rays organization if he hadn't already. This is a bigger deal than what you needed to get for Peralta because you have
Sure.
4 more seasons of team control for Hicks after this. He is not a free agent until after the 2031 season. So not only does he have team control, he's not even in arbitration yet. You're paying league minimum for this guy. So you have to give up some prospects that I think do have the runway to become players in the Marlins organization. It's not a surprise that the Rays and Marlins kind of had similar valuations on both sides of this deal.
Yeah.
We've seen Eric and Pete Bendix work out deals before. Obviously, they worked together for a long time with the Rays. I think this makes sense for the Marlins, right? Where,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
they're trying to find ways to take this team that is, fighting for a spot in the postseason now. How do we position them in future years to be more in the postseason more comfortably? I think the Marlins have a really solid core up the middle, especially. You've got Xavier Edwards and Otto Lopez. You had Kyle Stowers, who's been having a good season. They've got some interesting young arms as well. So, how do you find the pieces? Okay, let's move on from a guy that we got in a Rule 5 as a Rule 5 pick,
Hmm.
and let's get 3 really interesting players that are going to be, top 30 prospects for us that can move through our system. So, I think very well done on both sides again here.
I think Bendix and Neander, they obviously work really well together and have for years. This is just the type of, it's like the platonic ideal of a trade that lined up, right? Like I have a major league piece, but Joe Mack has now kind of supplanted him. Like I like him more long term. It's a little superfluous, but it's not like so much so that we just like we need to move him, right? Like the
Yeah.
Mets, it's a different thing. They were selling, they were everything had to go. Anything that could be lifted from the floor that wasn't bolted down, they were trying to get off that ship. The Marlins are in a different spot, right? They made some like FU offers of Otto Lopez, like, come get him. If you want to pay this price, go ahead. And teams should do that because again, like I saw with Adley Rushman, sometimes teams say yes to the FU offer. But like when it comes to the Marlins, I think this like lined up perfectly. Adrian Santana has no real runway with the Rays. They just added Grady Emerson. That's your shortstop of the future. Santana, like honestly, one of the best case scenarios is Taylor Walls, like Gold Glove, Platinum Glove level
Mm,
fielding, no power, maybe some contact bat. And that's again, like Taylor Walls has made a very good career. He is the locked-in starter of the best team in the American League.
yeah.
So Adrian Santana absolutely has the potential there. I like Santana. It didn't make a lot of sense. Like where does he go? Right? He didn't fit the near or long-term kind of plans for the Rays. So move him now to a team that really could fit him into that. Braden Taylor's a really good piece. Like this is a guy who could have been your starting second baseman next year potentially. He's hitting really well. He's got a lot of things you like, and it's nice to see him bounce back. He also is a guy who we saw the downside of very, very clearly for a couple of years there. And so there is also a risk that he may plateau at the AAA level, right? We saw this with Adrian Smith. Like, you trade for these guys now because you probably can't trade for him next year. Like, if he does like lock in, there's very Braden Taylor is a guy who does have like kind of conflicting reports. Some groups have him as a top 100 prospect on the bottom end. Some have him well outside the top 100. It's really hard to sort of. He's one of those guys that's again in that tween teener range of your top 30, who some teams might like more. Bendix possibly was even involved with the scouting of him and that early on. So I like that move. He could be a guy that could be a really impact player for the Marlins. I really think the top one is Kisting. I think that's the guy that like you could look back and say like, oh, this is a complete boon for Pete Bendix. He could develop into that. Again, though, there's a long way to go, and he was not one of the Rays' top 5 pitching prospects. So the Rays were able to then say, like, well, we have a lot of room here. Let's use one of that to get to this piece that we don't have a lot of depth of. You have Bodine, you have Llewellyn. They're a little bit further away. I love this trade. I love this trade because of the fact that this lines up so well in terms of value. You didn't have to overpay. I think this is, you always overpay a little bit. This wasn't like an egregious overpay. They didn't have to throw in like Brody Hopkins or like some like big time, top 50 piece. This was, I think, a really nice blending of values for both sides. Where again, quantity for an individual. You take 3 pieces that may not each individually equal the top, but all together, I think fits that goal. So love this
Yeah.
trade. Bendix and Neander can line up a million times. I love it.
Yeah, no, I think this works out well for both teams. I also think there's a chance like Taylor becomes something and
Totally.
Kisting becomes something, and you look back on this, you think, wow, that was a heavy price, but you needed a bat. The bats were hard to come from. You got someone with more control at a position of offensive need. And again, you talk about where, like we talked a lot before the deadline, Darby, about where can you get the most jump in production from, like what your second basemen are giving now. How much better can you get at second base with what
Right.
your corner outfielders are giving you now? It's going to be really hard to find an outfielder that over 2.5 months is going to be better than those that are
Right.
guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in baseball, but has a really high chance of being better than what you have. Well, I think the only guarantee I have about this trade deadline is that Liam Hicks. I'll make a bet on the show. Liam Hicks will have a higher WRC plus than Hunter Fiducia remaining for the season. And Fiducia was a guy who was catching like 45% of the time. I think through the first
Yeah.
100 games, he caught
Just playing a
45
lot.
games. And so Hicks, I don't know what the exact breakdown is going to be. They got him in the lineup at first base today. I imagine, especially if you stay comfortably in the division lead, you might get a couple more off days for Yandy or Aranda moving forward, where Hicks can stay in the lineup as a DH or a first baseman, and you've got Fortes behind the plate. And then I think I probably imagine that split trending closer to maybe 65-35 behind the plate, where Fortes starts against lefties, and then another off day for Hicks at some point in the
Mhm.
week. That's kind of how I
Yeah,
picture it.
I same. I think Hicks is gonna, sit versus lefties. He has some pretty, not great splits there, but I think every righty he's in there. Whether it's like today where he's in at first, and Fortes is also playing, or he's catching. Like I think Hicks is here to play. His bat is gonna be in the lineup against right-handed pitching.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, let's move on to the final trade. The Rays getting starter turned reliever Tyler Wells for Michael Fournette, who they got from the Orioles. He's going right back to the Orioles system. We knew the Rays would add at least one bullpen arm. Wells is
Yes.
their guy. I'm pretty happy with it. I was hoping for maybe one more bullpen trade, but I'll take Wells. I think that's a solid addition and definitely raises the floor of the bullpen.
They went a little bit higher end than I expected, actually.
Okay,
Wells, maybe not like a
you're not a flamethrower.
I was expecting like two like kind of fringier guy, like a Bob Steve type of like pieces, right? Not the name brand. Now, Tyler Wells, not exactly a name brand guy either, but he has been pitching at a high level setup role for the Orioles and has been pitching very, very well. Like this is a guy who has also another year of control after this. He's not a rental. He is somebody that could be your setup guy next to Brian Baker next year. Um, Big guy, 6'8", I want to say, like really tall, kind of towering over all in the dugout, like and the pregame stuff. Like he's a big old guy. Um, Really good command. Give you three guesses what his best pitch is. You don't need them. It's all changeup. Everybody that the Rays are getting right now, they are using changeups like crazy. Freddie Peralta, changeup meister. Uh, Tyler Wells, huge changeup. Um, has actually a nice variety of pitches. Wouldn't be shocked if he converted back into a starter in the offseason. Like there is like the possibility of that. He is a little older, so like maybe that boat has sailed, but he's got about 4 or 5 pitches that he works with, three high end and two others that he can show you. I don't know. That's the type of mix. That's the type of makeup that the Rays have had success with before. But yeah, they went a little bit more expensive for that reliever than I thought. I imagine they probably kicked the tires on Adrian Morejon. The Padres went the complete other way and were buying like crazy because
Yeah,
AJ Preller, he got the
can't help
itch. He's
himself.
chasing that dragon. He can't help himself. He was like, I should sell. It's Bilbo with the ring. Why not? Why not be a buyer at the deadline? Uh, and yeah, so the Rays I think went out and got one of the better relievers moved at this deadline. And first game in Coors. Again, we talked about tough place to play, tough out of rhythm. 4 outs, 4 strikeouts, kind of dominant pitching performance from him there. Um, Love getting a tall pitcher for Kyle Snyder, a fellow tall boy to kind of work with. And Wells is a really good pickup. Like that guy slots right in there to be with Kevin Kelly as like one of your top high end of game right-handed pitchers to go with Boozer and Clevenger, who are your big time left-handed pitchers. Michael Ferret's a big piece. That is the best individual piece prospect that the Rays traded this deadline. A guy who is in a lot of top 10 lists for the Rays, 8 or 9, that range. Um, just acquired in the Shane Baz trade.
Yeah,
Mark Elias enacting the ancient laws of takesies backsies, wanting a piece back of that he traded just away. Possibly an interesting bit of like what do you think of that? Like as if you're an Orioles fan, what do you think of that, of like making a trade to trade back for a piece that you just traded away? Does that give you confidence in your front office
no,
that
it
they're
makes the
like,
Boz
actually,
trade. It makes
actually
the
give me that
Boz trade
back?
very confusing. And I think you could have mocked a lot of trades from the Rays and the Orioles, whether that be for Wells or if the Rays had gone for Adley Rutschman, where
Hmm.
the Orioles, I think, probably would have called on a number of the guys that the Rays got. The 4 or 5 players that the Rays got for Shane Baz. Uh, it, and I think that just, yeah, I think you're not feeling great about the Boz trade, even if you still like Boz moving forward. You gave up a lot at the time for him, and then you get a piece back. It's weird. The Rays and Orioles have been doing this like crazy, going back to the Brian Baker trade. You're just swapping things, and then the Rays get DeBrun, who the Orioles used their pick on. So, yeah, interesting trade.
I think that there is a difference though in trading. Like, I want the pick back versus like
Kevin
I want
Costner
that
draft
player back.
day.
Yeah, yeah. You pancake eating motherfucker. My favorite movie. The worst favorite movie I could possibly have. It's so bad. I love it. Um, anyway, that's I think it's very weird. I don't know how often this happens because I always feel like, especially baseball front offices in particular, like there's a lot of thought and a lot of work and a lot of scouting and a lot of buildup to every move that you would think that like I'm comfortable trading these guys. I like these guys, but I'm comfortable trading them for this piece to then be like, I now want to trade another piece to you, but I need that piece back because it feels like regret. Like I know that that's fine, but like it feels very weird to trade back for a and it's a prospect, right? It's not like if the Rays were trying to get like Joe Ryan, the Twins ended up being buyers, but like you trade for Joe Ryan, that's an established pitcher. That's different, right? That like time has passed. Like Michael Ferret has had just like a few months of different development. That's like not a big. He is like basically no different than he was when he was with you. So like I don't know. It's very strange. Like, couldn't you have included Wells then and not and been like instead of Ferret, like Wells? And like wouldn't the Rays have done that? Like, yeah, let's give me a reliever with 2 years of
Sure.
control. That we that's the part that's weird to me. It's like why not Rushman then? You've now pivoted, right? You're like, okay, we're bad. We're 3 games out of a playoff series, but like we're bad. So like we're gonna now trade Adley Rushman, who was your face of the franchise. He would have been untouchable in the offseason. But now a half year later, you're trading him.
And you don't feel
I don't
great
know.
about
Like
what's left. Like Gunner's having a bad year. Jackson Holiday, there was rumors that they might trade him.
I think it's a real testament to unlike Bendix and Neander. It's a real testament to like I don't really believe in Mark Elias and what he's doing. I feel like they tanked for 4 years to build up to this window. They've got nothing out of it, and now they're having to seemingly sort of tear it back down again. GMs don't survive two. They don't survive two tanks. So I
Yeah.
think Mark Elias's job is not only hot. I don't see how you can give confidence in him to continue his job there. Um, he already fired the coach, right? He already fired the manager. That's your break glass in case of emergency. That's done. It's now you, buddy. But this does not strike me as like forward thinking team because they did not trade. They had a lot of pieces of those prospects that they did not trade. And this is kind of back to what the Rays just did. A lot of pieces that were not in their top 5 or top 10, but like in their organization that they liked, but that were maybe blocked by other prospects. Those are the times that you trade those guys for pieces that can help you now. They did not do that when they had the opportunity. And then they had to take lesser deals. Kobe Mayo, Connor Norby, like all of these Heston Kierstad and Colton Cowser. Like there's so many pieces that have like kind of depreciated in value because you didn't make these choices. You didn't make the tough choices to trade them when they were like blocked by other guys. And that's something the Rays did this deadline that I really like. Yes, Taylor, Santana, Kisting, like these guys could absolutely. Ferret is another one. These guys all could be really, really good pros, really, really good pros. But you are banking on and betting on what you have to be better in your organization and you are then banking on what you're getting back to help you right now.
Yeah.
And that is what it's a tough call. You're not always right, but good organizations can make those tough calls. Too many deadlines the Baltimore Orioles did not make deals. Too many off seasons that Baltimore Orioles did not do enough. This season, they went out and made a huge swing trade for Shane Baz, but they did not follow that up with free agents or other moves to fill out that rotation. And I said that rotation was a mess. It was just dangling on a precipice. You had injuries, you had bounce backs, and you were just putting way too many eggs in that basket. It all fell apart for them, and now those eggs are on Mark Elias's head. Anyway, I'm glad they got Michael Frett back. Best of luck. He is a really interesting pitcher, but like it's a weird move on Mark Elias's part. And for the Rays now, I can't say we closed the book on the Shane Baz trade because the book keeps opening, but now it's Shane Baz for Austin Overn, Slater DeBron, Brian Baker, technically, uh, Taylor Walls or Tyler Walls, Taylor Walls, Tyler Wells, um, and there's one more piece in there. What's the other? What's the last
Oh,
piece?
Tyler Wall is the clubhouse manager.
Oh yeah, there you go. Walls, Wells.
Yeah,
Good luck,
it's
Dwayne Stats.
yeah,
It's
gonna get
good luck.
confusing. Gonna get
Yeah.
confusing.
But yeah, okay. So deadline for the Rays. What grade do you give them? What do you think?
A B. I don't know. I think that's a very vanilla take, but it's a B. You filled three areas of need. You probably had four, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Um, 4.5 because I would have taken like if your fourth move was second base or corner outfield, I would have been happy.
Hmm.
And you didn't either, so
One more bat,
you
maybe.
got 3 out of 4.5 needs, I think. Um, so a B. You did fine. You didn't give away any of your top guys, which is your biggest thing. And I don't know other than Scooble, like okay, Abrams or Neto, are those the players you're willing to part with Gillen for? Because the Rays system, uh, you know, after Gillen, there are some really good players. Obviously, now you've got Grady up there in that mix, but the guys that were tradable this year, Gillen, there's a pretty big gap after
Yeah.
Gillen. You got some really
Yeah.
good prospects, Flewelling and Bodine, Fleming, and Hopkins. Like these are good prospects, but they are nowhere near. Gillen is in a tier of his
Yeah.
own. And so, if you were to think like the Rays were to make that big splash, it was for a player like Abrams or Neto, where they had years of
Yeah.
control. It was going to take Gillen.
Yeah.
So that's where I don't know how much better you could have done without you kept those top guys. Maybe there's a deal that could have been done for Rutschman, right? Where you go
Hmm.
and you're trading like a Bodine and a Hopkins.
Bodine, Ferret, Slater DeBron.
Yeah.
I think I know what the prospect list would have looked like. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a fair take.
So B, what about you?
I I'm actually at a B plus. I'm at a B plus because they did address most of what they needed. I think they got they addressed, they upgraded it, backup catcher, and they went more than I thought they would and got an actual like starting caliber catcher and one of your top four bats now. Right. They needed a big bat and they needed somebody to be better than Hunter Fiducia. And they did that with Liam Hicks move. Under control. They needed another starter that you could realistically see start a postseason game. I think Freddie Peralta is one of the better options you could have taken that swing on. It is risky though. It is risky. If this is Freddie Peralta of last year, this is an easy A deadline. You're also giving up a lot more to get him. Um, but I do think Freddie Peralta is somebody that you can work with really well. I kind of would have loved to see them add like one more like starter. I don't know how you fit it in though. But like if you could have gotten like Springs back or I mean Zach Littell just got DFA'd, so I guess you could go get him if you wanted him. Um, but I think that the address pitching, you needed another guy to get some innings, and Freddie Peralta can get you that. I needed another high-end reliever to the back end, and I think Wells is exactly that. I think he's another guy that you can trust with high leverage innings. Um, I really do think if you could have addressed second base, this would have been an A for me as well. If you would have addressed second base, I think the lack of that, and if you look at the deadline, nothing was available. Like there was
No.
pieces that I thought were available, but nothing moved. You didn't miss out on a move, and I think that's the other key, right? Is we talk about like you said, Abrams and Neto. Yeah, realistically, they could have been available. There was rumors. Those were probably not gettable, and you don't know what the final price tag would have been, right? And maybe that was too much to pay, and clearly it was because they didn't do it. Glaber Torres would have been the option there. The biggest one, that obviously the biggest miss was Luis Arise, right? Like that was there. I think the Rays were involved there. I don't think the Rays loved Arise's defense, but I think they were in there enough that like He's clearly much better than what you have. So like I think they made an offer. Um, from what I heard, the offer was better than what the again like what the Phillies offered. The problem though there is that like it's apples and oranges, and when you come to prospects, I don't think it was that much off from what the Phillies offered. So I think it's basically then like pick your. I don't think it sounded like from what I heard, it was not similar to like the Tigers being like, I need Gillen from you, I need Pena and Henderson from you. I'll take Hope and River Ryan. Not you know what? Don't even Sheehan. Don't worry about it. This felt like more just like I like these prospects over these prospects, and what can you do? After Arise, the drop off was basically what like Josh Smith, who we like, but he's having a really rough year. I don't know if he's an upgrade over Richie Palacios at all. So maybe there just wasn't an available guy, and maybe you did earlier in the season when you got Nick Madrigal for a minor league deal. Like
Right. I think if
there's your
things get
pickup.
bad, you do have options in AAA. And
But like
let's kind of end the
Ernie,
show
Cle-
with the
oh yeah,
second base news we have.
I was about to say like the other thing was Ernie Clement didn't get moved, who I really
Mm,
wanted. You didn't see like those pieces that were there that didn't get moved. But
yeah.
yeah, we do have some second base move. We do have a
Yeah.
second base news.
Ben Williamson, the hamstring injury, was on crutches after the game, needed help getting down the tunnel,
Yeah.
which means probably going to miss some time, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Did
We
we
did
hear
not
that
get
Kevin Cash sometime? Did we
we
get the
did not get
sometime?
some time. I think he said he's going to be out.
That might be
Because,
worse.
yeah.
He might be dead. He might be dead, Brett. He like I don't know. That just he's gone. He's
Yeah.
just out of there. It did
I'll have to pull the
look kind
quote.
of rough.
Yeah.
He needed like serious help. And hamstrings are tough. That's like
They
that could
linger, and
be
you might
yeah.
lose like your first step, even after you're back to like running. Like things just aren't as explosive defensively, base running at the plate. So I don't know. I'm kind of like thinking Ben Williamson minimal product like contributions for the rest of the season. Not to say that he can't come
Yeah.
back in the middle of September, but you need to make
But that's
plans without
mhm.
him, which would have been nice to know a few days ago.
That damn
Timing,
hamstring. Couldn't you have just pulled and like
yeah,
48 hours earlier?
timing a little bit rough. The immediate move, and I do think this could be the solution, is Carson Williams seems to be on his way up. He was pulled from the game at AAA. We've seen him get work at second base. He's been up with the big league club already this year. Can play shortstop. So if you need to get Walls a day off his feet,
Yeah.
like they've been using Williamson for, and could probably play at third if you ever wanted to give Junior a day off, which they haven't to this point. But as you get down the stretch, you never know. So yeah, I'm excited to see Carson Williams back up and have another shot. And I don't know how much playing time he'll get. They might give more playing time to Palacios, although you do have another left-handed bat in the lineup. So I think second base is a spot where you might decide to throw an extra righty in there. Now, whether that's Carson Williams or Ryan Valade, we'll find out.
Mhm.
They might decide to give more PAs to Valade against right-handed pitching, but with the addition of Hicks, which means Fortes is on the bench more, I don't know if they want to run a lineup of like 7 left-handed hitters and a switch hitter out because right now
Yeah.
you've got Yandy, you've got Caminero, and everyone else is like left-handed or switch hitter.
Mhm.
So maybe Williams does play more at second, bats 8th or 9th, and that's how you add another right-handed hitter in the mix.
It's a big loss. I will say this. When it comes to, I think the biggest is the opportunity loss, right? This is where you do look back on the deadline and you go, gosh, I really would have loved it. It would have been really nice if we could have somehow pulled off a rise, right? And just had that, not had to worry about it. Um, but when you look at Carson Williams and you look at Ben Williamson, you're looking at probably pretty similar projections the rest of this year. Both are really talented defensive gloves whose bats, in very different ways, mind you, have not performed very well. Williamson is very low power, high contact. Carson Williams is very high power, very, very low contact, very high whiff. Carson Williams is like the exact opposite of what this Rays lineup has and has wanted. Um, but running into a home run in the bottom of the order and playing gold glove level defense, that is something that the Rays don't mind. And when you have that bottom of the order, I think you're not getting a ton of offensive production out of Ricky Palacios. You're not getting a ton of offensive production out of Ben Williamson. So Carson Williams' offensive production, I don't think is something that they are clamoring for. I think the biggest thing for him, if he's going to stay and really stabilize, is you have to bring that glove and steal some runs from the field to make up for the runs that you're stealing at the plate.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And again, overall, the Rays are in a really good spot, Darby. I mean, they're the best record in the American League. By the way, the Andre Palante is carving up the Yankees lineup right now. The Cardinals lead 3-0 in the bottom of the sixth. So when we wrap up here, I might tune into that one. Let's kind of rapid fire through the rest of the league. We talked about the Scooble trade, but winners and losers of the deadline. I think the Yankees are one of the losers.
Yeah, easy. They have holes. Now they're injured, right? So like a lot of the, you could say the classic, when these guys come back, that's our deadline.
Yes, Aaron Judge is the best deadline pickup there can be.
Yeah, but I will know as a fan of a team that has had to eat that line a few times, I love it. I don't love the taste. It's not great. It's pretty.
It's like, yeah, I know Aaron Judge is not dead. He's coming back. Like,
although there was some Judge. I mean, okay, here's the thing though. Aaron Judge, we've talked about this. Like, his type of injury is not one that you're like, all right, 3 more weeks, he's back, and he'll be back to full speed. It's a nebulous floating timeline, right? And so, like, you do have to be worried about that. Giancarlo Stanton, man, he's hurt all the time. Like, the last update from Aaron Boone was basically he's getting fresh air. Like he's like a racehorse that's about to be put down. He's outside and moving. Like, oh my God, how bad is it? He's like a tuberculosis patient. What's happening over there? And Cody Bellinger's again, he's out. Like, that's huge pieces that you're gonna need. And like, yes, they got an outfielder, Heliot Ramos.
Mm-hmm.
That's also your backfill for when Trent Grisham leaves. You called up George Lombard. You did not really address your infield, but like now you're counting on a different rookie and sending down Volpe, and you added another left-handed bat in Luis Garcia. Good, like those bats, those offenses there, but like that bullpen still has not been addressed, right? You did not get any pieces there. I don't know. I say they're one of the losers of the deadline. They needed more work to be done. On the flip side, I'm going to pop over to one of the winners.
Yeah.
And you can call this one of the losers too. I'm actually kind of curious where you'd put them. Boston Red Sox. They are surging. They spent huge. They spent huge. They spent a lot of the future. But here's the thing with Craig Breslow. He's not going to be around. If he doesn't turn it around soon, he's not going to be around to see any of those prospects. So he is like, these guys are prospects for the next guy if I don't start winning. And he went big. He Curtis Mead, that he got hurt right away, but like big swing there. Adley Rutschman, huge swing there. I liked what the Red Sox did from a this year perspective. I think you can really look at them and go, I don't love what Breslow's doing. He's kind of arsoning their future, but I really like a lot of what they're doing. And they also, like the Yankees, though, they have a lot of pieces that, like, if they come back healthy, I'm not so sure that the Yankees are the team that we are looking at to try to drop. I mean, sure, I'll hate watch them and drop them down. Boston Red Sox are the team that I'm wanting to see start to lose because I'm more nervous right now of the Boston Red Sox chasing the Rays than the Yankees.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and I think we're well overdue for a Rays Red Sox 7-game series. We've had the 5-game series since 08, but it's been 18 years. since these two teams squared off in a 7-game series. The Rays and Yankees never squared off in the ALCS. So I would, I don't know. It feels like the pennant will run through the AL East. It could be. I don't want to shade the White Sox, and the
Yeah.
Astros and the Rangers are still lurking. But there's only 3 teams with 60+ wins. They're all in the East. And they all, the Rays and Red Sox got reinforcements. Yankees have some on the way. I think it's going to make for a really interesting stretch run. Luckily, the Rays
But
have the inside course here to winning the division title and getting a bye into the DS.
anybody else from the deadline you liked or didn't like?
Um, I guess the Angels started to make smarter decisions.
Selling was great.
Um,
That was great to see.
yeah, I don't know if you're super pumped about that as an Angels fan because there's still a lot of work there to be done, but I feel like it was a step in the right direction. I thought the Cardinals, I thought the Cardinals might pivot more and trade more of their pieces. I think
Yeah.
they had kind of a core that is aging out. Um, you've got your Lars Nootbaar who was traded to Arizona, but that core of Burleson, who's still really good, could still hit it. But now you're definitely wanting to pivot to JJ Weatherhall and Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn at shortstop. I thought maybe there were more pieces the Cardinals could have traded away, and just started to replenish their farm system. So I think I was expecting a little more from Heim, but they did fine work. I can't think of another big loser.
I think I don't know if the Astros did enough. I think they're kind of in a weird spot. I don't know if they could do more, but I don't think the Astros did enough. I liked what the Mets did. I thought they were very ruthless in getting some good sell trades. This has been a very disappointing, brutal year for them. But the first step to getting out of a hole is to stop digging, which the Angels have not learned until this year. So it is good to see the Angels as well start to sell because that's long overdue. I really love what Miami did. I thought they did a good job of having a very Rays style deadline. A little buy, a little selling, a little
Yeah,
buying for the future, a little selling for the now. Didn't really affect their major league core that much. So you could still maybe even make a little wild card push. Love that. The Padres, I love that AJ Preller exists. I hope he never loses his job. He's endless entertainment. You need a true wild card GM that just fires from the hip and just to shake it up, right? To there's too many rational actors. You need a truly unhinged one, and God bless AJ Preller, because I don't know if I liked or hated his deadline. I just love that he is always doing something weird at the deadline, and baseball's better for it.
baseball needs it. Yeah, I agree with you there. And it ended up, I think at some point we thought this might be a dud line. I think it was far from that. You had a lot of interesting moves, a flurry of moves on Monday. A lot of teams got in on the action, and so I'm happy with the way the Rays came out of it. I'm excited now. Eric Gander put it best, I think, on the broadcast the other day. The draft is all about players that are not in your system. The trade deadline is all about players who are not in your system. And now it's just about the players we have and the results on the field. And I think that makes it this early August period, I really love as a baseball fan because now I feel like you're scoreboard watching, you're clicking around to other games. I'm going to probably turn on the Yankees game tonight to
Yep.
see what happens there. Every game does feel it has heightened importance. So it's time for the pennant chase, and the Rays are in the thick of it, and that's all you can ask for this time of year. So good time to be a Rays fan. That is going to do it for this week's episode of Raise Your Voice. Thank you to everybody for listening. We've been live on youtube.com/@raiseyourvoice and also available wherever you get your podcasts. As always, make sure to head on over to draysbay.com to check out all of that great Rays coverage. Once again, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you next week.